If you're watching this, you already think something's wrong with your love life. But here's the secret. When water signs finally face their deepest fear, they don't break. They, transform somehow. You feel it in your chest, that suffocating weight of giving too much and getting too little back. The year 2026 is the year the water breaks, in a way that floods everything you've been avoiding. Your emotional patterns, your tendency to drown in other people, all of it comes to the surface. I'm pulling cards for all three of you, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, using 2 decks. The first deck shows us what's blocking your love life right now, what pattern you keep repeating, and what's coming in 2026. The second deck, that's the universe giving me the real story, the one you're not admitting to yourself. If you're still single and don't know why, this reading may tell you exactly why, but not give you advice. You make your own decision. Cancer, the first card I pulled for you is Lone Wolf. And I need you to sit with that for a second. Because you're not a lone wolf, are you? You're the caretaker, the nurturer, the one who wants nothing more than to build a home with someone. So why is this card here? Because you're afraid. You tell yourself you're independent, that you're fine alone. But really, you're terrified of letting someone close enough to hurt you. The 7 of Swords clarifies this, and it's showing me self-deception. You're lying to yourself about what you want. You say you want a partner, but the moment someone shows up who could actually give you that, you find a reason why they're not safe. Here's the pattern. Someone pursues you, you feel seen, you open up just a little, and the second they show you they're human, like they're busy one weekend, they don't text back fast enough, they have their own life, you decide they're abandoning you, and you retreat first. Cancer, you're not protecting yourself. You're confirming your own fear. Second card, unlovable. There it is, the core wound. You don't feel lovable, do you? Not really. Maybe you feel like people tolerate you, like they're with you because you give so much. But if you stopped cooking, stopped listening, stopped being the emotional support system, they'd leave. Death card clarifies, and this is transformation energy. In 2026, specifically around March through May, something dies. Could be a relationship, could be a friendship, could be a situationship you've been clinging to, but something ends. And here's what you need to understand. This ending is not proof you're unlovable. This ending is the universe saying, you can't build a new foundation on top of something that was never meant to support you. The person who leaves, or the connection that dissolves, was never your person. They were a placeholder. They were someone you kept around because being with them, even if it wasn't right, felt safer than being alone with the belief that you're unlovable. 2026 says, stop settling. The death card isn't punishment, it's liberation. Third card, being a victim. Cancer, we need to talk about this. I know you've been hurt. I know. You've given your whole heart to people who didn't deserve even a piece of it. You've been taken advantage of, used, ghosted, breadcrumbed. I'm not dismissing that, but at some point, you have to stop telling the story like you had no choice, like you were powerless. Eight of Pentacles shows up as clarification, and this is mastery through work. Specifically, this is you learning to master your own emotions, your own boundaries, your own self-worth. Here's what 2026 is asking you to do. Stop waiting for someone to rescue you from loneliness. Stop hoping the person who hurt you will realize what they lost. Stop building your identity around your wounds. By summer, June, July, you'll have a choice. Someone new might show interest, or someone from your past might circle back. And the question won't be, do they like me? The question will be, do I like the version of myself I become around them? If the answer is yes, if being around them makes you feel more like yourself, not less, that can be your green light. If the answer is no, if you find yourself shrinking, over-explaining, walking on eggshells, you walk away. The Eight of Pentacles says, your love life in 2026 is a skill you're learning. Not something that happens to you, something you're actively building. Cancer, you're not a lone wolf. You're not unlovable. And you're not a victim. You're someone who's been protecting a wound for so long, you forgot what it feels like to live without it. 2026, March through May, let something die. June through July, choose differently when someone shows up. September through November, prove to yourself you can be alone and be whole. The love you want, it may be coming, but not until you stop believing you're unworthy of it. Scorpio, your first card is criticizing. And maybe you say, oh, so I'm too picky. No, that's not what this card is saying. This card is saying you use criticism as a weapon. Not just against others, against yourself. When you meet someone, there's chemistry, maybe even real connection. And then you start looking for the flaw, the thing that proves they're not enough. Or worse, the thing that proves you're not enough for them. The High Priestess clarifies, and she's showing to you intuition. Here's the thing, Scorpio. You think you are being intuitive when you criticize. You think you're seeing the truth that everyone else is too naive to see. But really, this can be projecting. When you criticize your partner for being emotionally unavailable, what you're really saying is, I'm scared to be vulnerable first. When you criticize them for not making enough effort, if you're really saying, I don't believe I'm worth the effort. The High Priestess says, trust your intuition, but don't weaponize it. There's a difference between this person isn't right for me and nobody will ever be right for me because I'm impossible to love. Scorpio, which one are you really feeling? Second card, everyone leaves. There it is, your deepest fear. And here's the brutal truth. Everyone does leave eventually, not because you're unlovable, but because you test them until they break. You don't mean to, but you do. You push, you pull back, you create drama to see if they'll stay through the chaos. And when they finally leave, exhausted, you say, see, I knew they'd leave. Page of Wands shows up, and this is new beginning energy. Specifically around April through June, someone young or someone with young energy enters your life. This could be a literal new person, or this could be someone you already know showing up differently. Here's the test. Can you let them in without testing them? Can you believe they're staying not because you've earned it through suffering, but because they want to. The Page of Wands is playful, spontaneous, light. Everything Scorpio resists. You like depth, intensity. You like relationships that feel like life or death. But 2026 is asking you, what if love didn't have to be so hard? What if someone could stay, not because you're addictive or mysterious or impossible, but because you're just enough? Third card, too attached. And here's where it gets complicated. Scorpio, you're either all in or all out. There's no middle ground with you. It looks like you don't date casually. You don't see where it goes. You merge. You become one unit. And when it ends, you don't just lose the person, you lose yourself. Six of Wands clarifies victory. But victory over what? Victory over your need to control the outcome through attachment. Here's what 2026 is teaching you. Attachment isn't love. Attachment is fear wearing love's face. Real love, the kind that lasts, doesn't require you to lose yourself to keep the other person close. By August through October, you have a breakthrough. You'll realize you can love someone deeply and still have your own life, your own friends, your own interests, your own identity. The Six of Wands says, the victory isn't keeping someone, it's keeping yourself while loving someone else.
Scorpio, maybe try to stop criticizing yourself out of love before it even starts. Maybe try to stop testing people to see if they leave, because that guarantees they will. And stop attaching so hard that you forget who you are without them. April through June, new person or new energy enters. August through October, you learn to love without losing yourself. November through December, you see the proof. Someone stays, not because you made them, but because they chose to. The love you want isn't impossible, Scorpio, but it can be impossible. If you keep making it a test, no one can pass. Pisces, oh Pisces. Your first card is losing yourself. Maybe you already know this is your pattern, don't you? You meet someone, and within weeks, you've rearranged your entire life around them. Their schedule becomes your schedule. Their problems become your problems. Their dreams become more important than your own. And at first, it feels beautiful. It feels like love. It feels like you finally found your person. But 6 months in, a year in, you wake up and don't recognize yourself anymore. King of Cups clarifies, and this is emotional mastery. But here's the twist. The King of Cups is showing up to ask you, whose emotions are you mastering? Theirs or your own? Pisces, you're so good at feeling what other people feel, absorbing their pain, carrying their weight, that you've forgotten how to feel your own emotions. You don't even know what you want anymore because you've spent so long wanting what they want. 2026, specifically January through March, is going to force you to sit with yourself, alone. No distractions, no new person to pour yourself into. Just you and the question, who am I when I'm not being what someone else needs? The King of Cups says, learn to hold your own emotions.
before you drown trying to hold someone else's. Second card, unlovable. Pisces, this one hurts, doesn't it? Because you give so much, you love so deeply, you sacrifice, you compromise, you bend until you break, and still people leave. Or worse, they stay, but they don't love you the way you love them. And somewhere along the way, you started believing, maybe I'm just not enough. Maybe if I give more, love harder, need less, then they'll finally see my worth. The Hierophant shows up, and this is tradition, commitment, sacred union. But here's what it can really say. You're looking for validation in all the wrong places. You think if someone commits to you, if they marry you, if they call you their soulmate, then you'll finally believe you're lovable. But Pisces, that's not how it works. You could marry the most devoted person on the planet, and if you don't believe you're worthy, you'll still feel like an imposter in your own relationship. April through June 2026, the Hierophant energy is strong. This could be an engagement, a wedding, or a serious conversation about commitment. But here's the warning. Don't say yes to someone just because their commitment makes you feel less unlovable. Say yes because you already know you're worthy, and this person just confirms what you already believe about yourself. Third card, giving too much. Pisces, we need to talk about boundaries. I know you don't like boundaries. Boundaries feel mean to you. Boundaries feel like you're being selfish, like you're withholding love. But Pisces, giving until you're empty isn't love. It's self-abandonment. Queen of Cups clarifies, and she's the emotional queen. She's compassionate, intuitive, deeply loving. But she also knows you can't pour from an empty cup. Here's what's going to happen in 2026. July through September, you're going to hit a wall. You're going to be so exhausted from giving, so depleted from carrying everyone else's emotions, that maybe you'll have nothing left. And that's when you have to choose. Do you keep giving until you break? Or do you finally say, I deserve to receive as much as I give? The Queen of Cups says, real love is reciprocal. If you are the only one giving, you are not in a relationship. You are in a one-person rescue mission. And Pisces, you can't rescue someone into loving you. You can only love yourself enough to stop trying. Pisces, maybe stop losing yourself in other people. Maybe stop believing you're unlovable just because someone didn't love you the way you deserved. And stop giving so much that there's nothing left for you. January through March, sit with yourself and remember who you are. April through June, commitment energy comes, but only say yes if you already feel worthy. July through September, you hit your limit with giving, and you finally set boundaries. The love you want, it's not found in someone else. It's found in you, loving yourself enough to stop settling for crumbs. Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. 2026 is your year to stop drowning in love and start floating. You are not broken. You are not unlovable. and you're not too much. You're just, well, water signs, learning to hold your own space instead of filling everyone else's. See you in the next tarot reading.